Stephen Smith. I'm with Christian Leadership Partners. We provide leadership solutions for both profit and nonprofit organizations through coaching, teaching, and mentoring. We want to provide your organization with the tools it needs to become that much better. We know that with these leadership tools, you can become a better leader, or maybe your subordinate leaders need a little bit of training. We can provide that for you. What we want to do here is give you a free 30-day training program that looks at the kings of Israel. Why would we do that? Well, there's three reasons, really. The first reason is that it gives us a good example of what good leadership looks like and what bad leadership looks like. If we as leaders take a look at good leaders, then we know that we can model that same behavior and get basically the same results. We also know that if we look at bad leaders, then we can avoid the dangerous traps that they put themselves into and take away their failures. Well, the second thing that we want to do is we also want to take a look at the historical record of these kings. It gives us a good example of how they planned, how they prepared, and how they executed, and then the results of that planning, preparation, and execution. We as leaders can follow along with those same processes if we do the same things that they did for good results and avoid the same things that they did for bad results. So we want to be able to use the Bible for that as well. Now, the third thing that we want to do is take a look at servant leadership. Servant leadership is a concept that's put forward by Robert Greenleaf, and it helps us to understand how we can lead just a little bit better. Now, the best example for this is Jesus Christ, who is the ultimate servant leader and whose servant leadership is really based off of. Let's take a look at the definition of servant leadership and see how that applies in situations in our own lives. Servant leadership is a style based on the idea that leaders prioritize serving the greater good. Leaders with this style serve their team and organization first. They don't prioritize their own objectives. Employees in the servant leadership environment are more likely to feel that their voices are heard. So what we're doing now is we're giving you a 5-day bonus track that helps you to be able to follow along in 5 key areas that servant leaders will usually excel in. Now, the first one is character and character development. Second one is communication. The third one is conceptual thinking. The fourth one is commitment to growth, and the fifth one is community. Now, we've already looked at character and communication, and what we want to do is take a look at conceptual thinking today. Conceptual thinking is unique. It's more than just thinking outside the box. It gives us the ability to be able to take a look at how are we thinking and how we can make that thinking just a little bit better. We also want to make sure that our thinking is along the lines of servant leadership models and ideas that are put forward in Greenleaf's writing. So let's take a look at what conceptual thinking really means. Conceptual thinking is the practice of connecting abstract, disparate ideas to deepen understanding, create new ideas, and reflect on past decisions. Conceptual thinkers can understand abstract concepts like the functioning of a complicated business or a nonlinear digital process very easily. So what we want to do is we want to see how Jesus did this whole conceptual thinking process. If we take a look at Matthew 4:17, we can see that he picked up where John the Baptist left off. Let's read this and see how this applies. This Isaiah prophesied sermon came to life in Galilee the moment Jesus started preaching. He picked up where John left off. Change your life. God's kingdom is here. So what Jesus did was he took the repent for the kingdom of heaven is near, and he took that to the next level. He added things like healing and miracles. He added conceptual ideas of I need to reach out to people in a way that they can understand this just a little bit better. People came to John the Baptist because they knew that there was a message that was there. They came to Jesus because they knew that he could help them. And we want to make sure that people can come to us because we're helpful leaders. That makes sense, doesn't it? So what we want to do is we want to take a look at how Jesus did those things and how he took a paradigm of, rather than being served, being the servant for everybody underneath him. So what happens is that this conceptual idea of an abstract thought can actually help move us to different levels. And as we move to different levels, our team is going to move with us. And it's a totally different concept when we look at these teachings. Let's take a look at Scripture and see how that applies to us here in this situation. So Luke 6:44 and 45 says, a tree is identified by its fruit. Figs are never gathered from thorn bushes, and grapes are not picked from bramble bushes. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what's in your heart. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're using our heart in some of our decisions. Now that doesn't mean that, well, I'm going to forego all the sensible ideas and the concepts that have to happen. I'm not going to go outside of the realm of possibility by going to different ideas and different concepts that are outside of what the organization wants to achieve. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that I include my heart in this process. And that's what Jesus was talking about here. Because what happens is that the emotional concepts and the things that we think about come from our heart. And that's important for us because that's where our seat of emotion is. And if I include this in the way that I lead, then what's going to happen is that my people know that I'm genuine. And if I'm leading the way that I think, the way that I act, and what's in my heart, then people will naturally follow me in those concepts. And we have to understand that this is how the servant leadership concept actually begins. Let's take a look at another verse to see how else we can think outside of the box. So Matthew 5:43 and 44 says, "You have heard the law say, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, pray for those who persecute you." For us as leaders, we think that this is so outside of the box. I need to repay evil with evil, and I'll repay good with good, but I'll only do it when people are good to me. But we as leaders, if we can turn this around and start looking for the paradigms of what Jesus is talking about here, we can start doing things in a different way. And I really do encourage you to go throughout the Gospels, even if you're not a Christian, and start reading about the different ways that Jesus approached things. Like the Golden Rule is a good example of that, and we can see that the business community has really adopted that. But if I know that I can hate those, or if I can love those people that are hating me, then I know that I'll make a difference not only in their lives, but it'll make a difference in my life as well. Look, the best way for us to change our attitude is to change our emotions that are attached with it. If I can change my emotions, and my attitude will change, and now I'll be able to go out and do those things that I had not normally been able to do. This verse the next few verses continue in this same concept. Matthew 5:46 and 47 says, "If you love only those who love you, what reward is there in that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that." So we can see that Jesus says, look, anybody can love a friend. If we can love those people that are outside of our sphere of influence, if we can love those people who are our competitors, if we can love those people who are fighting against us, then we know that that gives us a distinct advantage in everything that we do as a leader. And we know that our subordinates will follow along with this concept because they can see that we care about people. Remember, we talked about this when we were talking about character development and how the humble are lifted up and they shall see God. Well, this is an important concept that enables us to be able to do that thing, and it enables us to be able to take this conceptual thinking to that next level. So what we want to do is we want to ask ourselves two quick questions here. The first question is what are some of the paradigms that you can implement in your own teams? Now we can look and see, we want to make sure that we're not doing things outside of the realms of possibility, but what we do want to do is we want to change things around a little bit so that our subordinates can know that we understand what's going on, and it gives them a different perspective of what the true objective is. And it may not be to make money, but it may be to serve the organization. Imagine what would happen if all your employees were serving the organization rather than their own interests. It'd make a difference for you, wouldn't it? Here's the second question that I encourage you to take a look at. What are the primary concepts your organization's success? Think on these things. Now, these concepts that our organization has and what's made it successful are really what we want to stick with. We want to make sure that we take a look at these from different angles, but we don't change them to the point of being a different type of organization. And we know that we can do that. You can download copies of these notes down below in the comment section below, and then I even have a couple of exercises that are there that can help develop your conceptual thinking concepts. And don't forget to subscribe over here so you don't miss any one of these videos. Oh, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're notified each time that one of these videos are presented. I encourage you to take these tools, make a difference in your life, make a difference in your organization. Be that leader who you know that you can be.